Welcome to the Limitless Potential podcast, where together we will dive into the personal, business, and career-rich tips, techniques, stories, and experiences of some incredibly successful and inspirational people, each with their own perspectives and journeys, and each with golden nuggets of wisdom which might just change your life. I'm Tracy Stone, and I'm a master trainer in a number of career supercharging techniques, a transformational coach, international best-selling author, inspirational speaker, and a woman discovering and evolving my very own limitless potential day by day.
I went to yoga and one thing you're going to stand up at your stage.
Celebrate yourself.
Spiritual things for a very second I met her.
And so once a week, each took me to
Now I got that message and I see this happening many times again, which is again I see it in a positive way.
Hi, and welcome to the Limitless Potential podcast. I'm delighted to welcome Cat Paterson, who joins us today from North Devon in the UK. With 20 years of working in alternative practice, following a full recovery from severe chronic illness and daily migraines, Cat uses a refined combination of life experience, breathwork, Wim Hof Method, and advanced Rapid Transformational Therapy, hypnotherapy, to guide her clients towards their goals and potential. Cat takes every condition and illness very seriously and knows what it's like when other professionals don't do that. She'll hear your story without judgment and provide an empathic, focused, and flexible approach towards next steps. Her aim is to help people let go of old habits and beliefs, to gain new ones so they can be the best version of themselves, and crucially, to give people the skills and confidence to hold onto it. Cat is also a Wim Hof Method instructor. Welcome, Cat, and thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Good to be here, Tracy.
Well, this is going to be an amazing conversation. I know this already because I know you, Cat, and the incredible things that you do, the journey that you've been on through life. And I know that the listeners are going to get so much out of this. But let's take it back to the very beginning. So let's go back in time a little bit and talk about what was life like for you growing up. Give us the journey of Cat.
Well, I was very lucky growing up. I was educated. I went to boarding school at 7, so pretty young. Was dyslexic, badly dyslexic, and had quite a lot of difficulty adjusting because of that. And in those days, it was not really noticed. But otherwise, apart from that, I was fairly fearless, extremely naughty.
Love a bit of naughty.
Not a bit of naughty, and I love sport. Absolutely love sport, and I loved my friends.
So tell us more about the naughty. How naughty can you have been as a little girl?
Well, kind of got asked to leave school, so naughty enough. I mean, it's like a good convent girl. I wasn't, but I was all about the fun and all about the adventure and all about doing what I shouldn't do, which has informed my life in many ways. But yes, I love nature. I was fearless. I was sporty, and I was naughty.
I think that naughty element, when we think that we're naughty as children, that naughty element is so misunderstood by people. They do see it as that's a naughty child, that's a bad child. But what it really probably is, isn't it? And you're going to resonate with this, I know, is a child that has so much spirit and adventure in them and just needs that outlet, that opportunity. It's not badness, it's not really naughtiness, it's just energy and spirit.
Definitely. And I think when you're a kid, it's all about exploration. You have huge amounts of energy, and here's life and everything. We watch kids, how they love jumping in puddles. And, like I had my gorgeous nephew when he was 2 years old. For Christmas, he had this big box, and all the presents were inside the big box. He wasn't remotely interested in the presents, but he was interested in the box and getting into the box and all the paper and the noise it made, and everything went everywhere. And it's just joyous, isn't it, at that age? It's where we learn about ourselves.
We do, and just that energy is something that is intrinsic within you, isn't it? My sister was like you. My sister, who I look up to so much and adore so much, she was the lively, energetic, spirited one. I was the very quiet one in the family. And it's not naughtiness, is it? It's just beautiful spirit.
It is. It is. And I think part of it for me was a little bit of rebellion because of the dyslexia. I kind of needed to be heard and seen, and I didn't do it perhaps in the right way, because I just wanted to get some attention because I wasn't getting any attention and I needed help, and that help wasn't available to me back then.
So how did you work your way through that?
Well, very interestingly, not entirely successfully. Initially, I had to leave school, and then I trained as a chef and worked as a chef and had to work exceedingly hard, 17-hour days, really, really grueling, no money at all. I remember it was like £130 or something for a week of, 82 hours, easily 82 hours. It was full on. But what that installed in me was a work ethic. I suddenly realized that I really needed to do something. I really needed to learn and to really be focused on my work to get somewhere, to get up the ladder. So interestingly, I continued working in that industry, and at 21, with my partner, we set up a golf club. And again, I was totally fearless. At that age. And we just did it. I didn't know anything about golf clubs. I didn't know anything about running a business. I didn't know anything about managing. But we just naively went into it. Again, worked incredibly long hours. But we were successful. In the first year, we broke even, which is incredible.
That's amazing.
It was absolutely amazing. And what was then really interesting, I decided, worked there for a few years, and then I decided, actually, I want to go back to education. So doing education totally, counterintuitive. So I went back and went to the local comp, did my A-levels, and then I went on to do a degree, which was amazing. And again, just totally exploring myself. And by this time, through amazing teaching, I overcame my dyslexia to the extent when it came to my exams, they didn't even notice that I had dyslexia, and they didn't even give me time off. And that was very liberating for me, because it was the first time I thought, I'm not stupid. I'm not someone, I always thought I was thick because of the dyslexia. And then I realized I'm not. I just needed the right tools.
That's incredible. What age was this at in life, Kat?
So I went back to do my A-levels at about 24. So yeah, I mean, it's not what you normally do at all. But I did, and I fast-tracked my way into university, and yeah, it was an incredible experience for me.
That's so admirable, because it truly is at an age where generally people think, thank God I'm done with education. I'm ready for earning money. I'm ready for that grown-up world now, and I don't want any more of that. And you went back in out of choice.
Out of choice. I know, it's extraordinary, but I loved it. I loved every moment. I had fantastic friends, loved my degree, and I did well, and that gave me confidence. And during that time also I did all the kind of out of hours activities. I was in plays, I did a lot of singing, so I was on the stage a lot, did festivals. I worked so freaking hard, which I would not have done if I'd gone from O levels straight on to A levels. I was not in that mind space then. But coming back after knowing what world was really like, I worked really hard, and I played really hard too.
So what advice would you give, Kat, to people who might be in a similar situation, who might feel this whole educational thing is hard for me and I want out into the working world, but then they realize I'm not getting as far in life as I wanted to, or I feel like there's something I need to study and do. How would you help people? What would you advise them in making decisions when they've doubted their capability at studying like that?
I think it's very much about really realizing who you are, your why in life, really finding out what your why is, why you want to do a certain thing, why you are who you are. What is your intuition really telling you? A lot of people thought I was absolutely mad going back to education. It's a huge, big chunk to go back to once you've moved to a certain place. And I was, to most people, I was successful at that early age, but I knew that it's something I wanted to do. And the other thing is communication, effective communication. So, my problems were that I couldn't communicate with my parents or my peers successfully. And I think when children in early ages are able to communicate or know how to communicate also with their teachers, that can transform things dramatically. But also there's always that old adage, it's never too late. There's this whole time thing. We've got to have this done by this stage. We've got to have that done by that stage. It's rubbish. You do it at a rate and a stage and a rhythm that is right for you, unique to you, and embrace who you are. It's not about anybody else. It's your journey. It doesn't matter how you do it. It doesn't matter how you finish. It's about just being true to your spirit and your calling.
That's wonderful. And Kat, what did that lead to then? So you were so brave to go back. I think brave is definitely an important word for that, to go back into education and get your A levels and go on and do your degree in an age group that people don't traditionally go back and do that. That's bravery. What did it all lead to? What came next for you?
I went to London. And again, my music was a big part of me. So I did a lot of performing, but I also started working for Universal Music. And I basically worked for Universal Music and Channel 4 and Pucker Films. And again, I was kind of challenging myself, trying to not be the person that some had perceived me to be. They'd perceived me, I think, as a child, as just someone that was naughty, that was uncontrollable, black sheep of the family, all that kind of stuff. And actually not, I kind of got labeled as not being intelligent. And that was so not true. So I was like, okay, what can I do now? What really makes my heart sing? And so I went into media, and again, it's very long hours, but exciting. And I loved that whole journey with such vibrant, interesting and intellectual people. Just being surrounded by that pack was just really fantastic for me.
Oh, tell us some of those adventures. We've got to know.
Yeah. Well, it was, I don't know. The adventures really were just working on productions, and I was very much behind the scenes during that time. So I did a lot of copywriting, reading scripts, planning productions, that kind of thing. But I just loved the energy of it. And with my singing, I actually I actually sang in front of Simon Cowell. Nobody knows that.
Wow.
And I nearly got to a stage where they were interested, but never quite happened. But I still had this massive passion for singing, so I continued to do that, which was wonderful.
More bravery from you. I mean, this is definitely the thread for you, is bravery, because so many people struggle to even stand up and talk in a crowd of friends, or to have a voice at a meeting at work. And you're talking now about singing in front of other people, and singing in front of very famous people who are judging you. They're actively there
Yeah.
to judge. How did you get yourself into that flow of energy, into that feeling of being able to be there and be Cat and sing and offer yourself out there, when so many people would struggle so much with that?
Well, it was really interesting. I really did struggle with it. You know, when I was at school, I remember having to go and stand in front of the whole 400 of the school and read out of the Bible. And I couldn't do it. And I kept on gulping. I literally couldn't get a word out. It was terrifying. I was laughing at myself. Everyone was laughing at me. The vicar was getting extremely cross with me. And it was a massive disaster. But when I learned to sing, I suddenly found myself being able to step into somebody else. So I would model excellence. I used to love to pretend that I was Nina Simone's wonderful great bosoms and a powerful lady, you know, really owning the stage, and her voice was just effortless. And to that was my basic routine. And I learned to sing, and I learned to ground. I learned to take the stress of my body down into my calves, take the tension down there, to model excellence, to visualize how I wanted to feel. And then I found that when I started doing classical singing, I was able to do it. And I was like, oh my gosh, how can I do it singing, but I can't do it speaking? So I had to then do a succession of like tapping techniques, but again, more visualization. But sometimes it's important to know that the people that judge us the most are actually ourselves, and that actually at the end of the day, people want the best for you. They want you to perform well. They also want you to be human. So if you make mistakes and you kind of like, it kind of happens, and you're okay with it, and just laugh at it or smile at it and just carry on, do the best that you can do. Slowly but surely, you begin to enjoy it. And one of the wonderful things is that excitement and nervousness are or anxiety are very, very close. So it's kind of choosing to be excited about it, having this power to perform in front of people. And I also went back to when I was a child, and I used to love to stand on the dining room table and sing one cornetto, my loudest voice. And basically my childhood was running around being loud and going, raw. And I often got told off, surprisingly. But I really identified to being that young girl again who was free to express herself. And slowly, I began to be able to talk, and I got into radio as well. And that absolutely terrified me. But I was thinking, right, I really need to get over this whole inability to talk naturally in front of people, this nervousness. And then I realized, oh my God, I've actually got a voice. My voice doesn't actually sound that bad. People are listening to me. People are finding me amusing. People are liking the choices that I make or the interviews that I do. And it became liberating and joyful. So, yeah.
It's amazing. So what did you do in radio?
So I did a succession of things. To begin with, I did something called the Jam and Toast Show, and I would basically it was a little bit like Desert Island Discs. It was a magazine show. There was articles of the day or the week, so there'd be science or there'd be literature, and then I'd get someone on board who was really fascinating. So I dealt with sturgeons. I had Kate Adie and all sorts of really fascinating people. And I loved speaking to them and finding out about them. It was kind of really juicy, and that kind of wonderful interaction of a life you don't know or have no entry point into, and then discovering who they are, to me, was just so super exciting. Then I went on to doing some DJ work. So I did a sort of late night show where new music, that kind of stuff. And again, a quite comical, playful show. Again, interviewing bands this time. Someone called me the Joe Wiley of Dorset, which was very sweet of them. But it was fun. Do you know what? It was all just fun and joyous and fascinating.
So can you recount anything from those interviews, whether it's with the bands or with the individuals? Who stands out for you as someone that really inspired you or surprised you when you met them and you were talking with them?
I have to say it was Kate Adie. I kind of slightly hunted her down. She is somebody that I have always respected from a young kid, watching the TV, seeing the war zones. I was like, I want to be her. She's just so, she is so extraordinary. And her wealth of knowledge and her stories are, I mean, they're unforgettable. You know, the things that she had to do, you know, being shot at, having to be with men, not having any private lady time, you know, weeing the bush, whatever it was. She just, nothing fazed her. She was always professional, and she always kind of intuitively knew where to place herself and where to be. And goodness knows how she survived what she survived. And if you ever get the chance to go to one of her talks, it is possibly the most professional talk you will ever experience. She is perfection. She really is. Everything's to a T, beautifully articulated, with, you know, interspersed with beautiful humor as well. So she's an extraordinary lady.
That sounds incredible. And I think it's an important thing for us all to think about as well. Finding mentors, finding people that inspire us. And mentors don't always have to be people that you know and you're sitting with for an hour a month. They're people that you are watching to see how do they operate. What is it that they do that makes them special, makes them connect with other people? And we can do that from people we've never even met. And looks like Kate Adie was certainly an important mentor for you in inspiring you.
Yeah, I think it's that whole feel the fear and do it anyway. It's been a bit of a philosophy of of mine for a long time. And yeah, and she just started off in local radio. She, you know, just did kind of PA type stuff, and eventually got to where she was. And she sort of says it was a bit accidental. She never sort of went out to become a war journalist at all. It just, the job came up, she was there, someone said, would you do it? And she said yes. And that's life. And actually, one of the things I'd say to people, you know, sometimes we have a very, and I was guilty of this, a really sort of blinkered vision about how we want our lives to be. And we think that's exactly what life should be. And then sometimes opportunities come up which aren't totally in alignment with what you think you ought to be doing. But sometimes allow yourself to go in that way, to be guided in that way. One of the opportunities I missed, and I didn't even, you know, if I was to tell my younger self to do it again, I would play this one a little bit more differently. But I got asked to be a presenter for Holiday in the Sun. La, la, la. And at the time, I just wanted to be behind the camera and just managing and all the rest of it. Like, I don't want to be in front of the camera. But now I'm like, oh my God, why not? You know, you would have loved that. And it would have been a wonderful thing to do. So it wasn't where I thought I wanted to be, but it was an awesome opportunity. So
I think that's
open.
an incredible mantra to say yes for. That doesn't mean to say yes to everything, you know, it's saying yes to the things that you know will be good for you, and then just being brave enough to move forward into it and just do it, to feel it and go with it and experience it, and allow yourself to not be perfect.
Yeah, and actually, sorry, Tracy, and it actually is a really good thing to think about. It's that 5-second principle, isn't it? Because when they first offered it to me, I was like, oh my God, that'd be amazing. And like, oh no, you're not so good at public speaking. Oh, do you really want to be on camera? Oh, what will you look like? La 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 la. But that's just the ego kicking in.
Mm-hmm.
If you go with that impulse of like, oh, I should like to do that before the fear sets in,
mm-hmm.
that is the sweet spot. That's when you know that you should be doing something. I mean, not everything is right for you, but feel it. Remove the fear. What would it be if you had everything that you need to have in order to do that? If you had that, would you do it? And quite often the answer is yes. Hell yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that attitude. Love it. So this whole bravery of yours, this ability to say yes to things, and sometimes we miss the opportunity, as you say, and you kind of learn later on, like, yeah, I really should have said yes to that. How would you say that all of these experiences through your life have changed you as a person, or have they?
I think what really changed me as a person was when I hit 30. I went to Africa on a sort of holiday of a lifetime with my family, 3 weeks of sun, gorgeous wild animals, everything fabulous. But literally in the first week, I got very severely ill with malaria and Shigella dysentery at the same time. I was in the middle of nowhere and I got ill exceedingly quickly, to the extent Mum had to drive me to the local hospital, which was the tin shack. And they said to Mum, sorry, she's not going to make it. She's going to die. And my poor mom was beside herself. Luckily, I'd flirted with a helicopter pilot on the way out, and we managed to get hold of him. This is like the universe being there for me. Amazing. He then flew me. I was slipping in and out of consciousness by this stage to an airport. I had to get a plane. Can you believe it? From Zimbabwe to Harare, from Botswana to Zimbabwe, and people were so kind, and I was severely ill on the plane. Met by an ambulance, went to the first hospital. They said, nah, not having her. She's too ill. She's dying. She's had it. Went to another hospital. Bless the ambulance men. And I had my Barclay card, and they said, well, if you paid this amount, we'll treat you. So thank God for Barclay card. So went into the hospital, straight into intensive care, went unconscious pretty quickly. And when I woke up, I had a priest at the end of my bed reading me the last rites. And I was like, wait a minute, this is really odd, because I never for a minute thought that I was as ill as I was. I was just like, nah, this doesn't add up. I'm just gonna, I don't know, I just had this kind of calmness, even sort of sense of humor actually through the whole process. Then I did crash, and I had this most extraordinary out of body experience where I felt this huge surge of energy, and it then literally my physical and my spiritual self split, and suddenly there was just silence. African hospitals aren't the same as the NHS. The NHS is incredible in comparison, and there was always people screaming, always screaming, day and night screaming. I was surrounded by AIDS patients and the intensive care. It was just horrid. But then there was this peace, this amazing peace, a peace that I have never experienced. Extraordinary. Then I looked back, saw my body in the bed, went back in a second, and the first thing was this breath. I was like, oh, I'm back. And it was odd. Since then, I knew the only way to survive was the way that I breathed. And for that moment, I realized my breath has been the one thing that has consistently kept me here, and being calm has kept me safe from not dying. Anyway, so I did get better, flew back to the UK, and then started having a succession of anaphylactic shocks, severe ones. And my body completely shut down. My immune system was shot, everything was shot. My body had literally had enough. And so getting back from that is what changed who I am and what I do. And I literally had, as you said at the beginning, migraines, daily migraines. I just couldn't bear the light. I couldn't bear noise. I couldn't read. I couldn't do anything. It was awful. I then couldn't walk. Everything just slowly began to shut down. So my life was being locked into my body. But the one thing that I had, well, the two things that I had was my mind and my breath. And that is what changed my life. And slowly but surely, I learned as much as I could. I read everything that I could slowly, or listened, or visualized. Sorry, it's my dog. Visualized, and got into mindfulness. Used every single technique under the book to get better. But it took me 10 years to be able to walk again and to be back in society, and another further 3 years to then train in RTT, which completed my healing along with the Wim Hof Method. And that changed who I was significantly. From that experience, I was able to connect to people on a very deep level. I can energetically read people, and I understand something about energy which I never would have understood before, and about humanity which I'd never understood before. It was extremely challenging for me. I lost everything, who I was, what I did, everything that I thought made me a human being and an interesting human being. And to build myself back up from that really very difficult experience was tough.
That's incredible. It's giving me goosebumps, your story. So how do people come back from it? So I know you're saying that you read a lot, you learned a lot about breath work, and Wim Hof will want you to tell us more about all of those things, and RTT, which is Rapid Transformational Therapy. It's an amazing form of hypnotherapy. How do you pull yourself out of all of that and find that resilience to go on instead of giving up?
Well, a lot of people told me and kept on telling me I'd never do it. They just said, you can't, you're either going to die or you're just, I'm sorry, we cannot help you. But there was a part of me that just wasn't going to give up. And that mischievous part of me, that playful part of me, and that determined part of me was like, there's got to be a way out. There's got to be a way out of this. And I found a way out. And, you can learn therapy, you can read books, you can do 101 different things. But when you experience something on a really difficult, challenging, life-changing level, and you are able to overcome it, it gives you an insight that I don't think a lot of people would find easy to find or discover. So I then felt that this was my calling, because I never wanted anyone to go through what I went through. And I thought, if I can even help people just a little to believe in themselves, to be them true selves, to overcome anxiety, performance issues, illnesses, even fertility, they can seriously break free. And the power of the mind is extraordinary. And when you know and learn how to harness it, you really can create a life that you love authentically.
Amazing. So when people come to you for this incredible help that you can give them, How do you help them in the first instance when they're coming to you kind of broken or crumpled from whatever life has thrown at them? How do you work your magic with them?
First of all, I tell them it's not their fault. And I will pause when I say that, because life can be very, very challenging. People have been through extraordinary things. And so many times, I thought I had been through tough stuff, but I am humbled by my clients. I learn so much from my clients. They are treasures to me. So also, I take time to understand them. And I tune into them energetically, where I can see the blocks, be it physiological, psychological, neurological, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It's all energy. And then through the combination of science and breath work and hypnotherapy, I give them all the tools that they need on all different levels to really begin to understand who they are. And when they build that trust with you, then they open up and then they find out who they are, who they're supposed to be, where their powerhouse is, what their why is. And that is just revolutionary, because they have the science to back it up. They have the belief that they can do it now. And then they're able to activate change.
Amazing. So you talk about beliefs there as well, Kat. For you personally, what would you say have been the most important beliefs in your life, or the beliefs that you developed that changed things for you? Talk about your beliefs.
My beliefs are, it's interesting. I kind of have two sort of sides to my beliefs. One is going by inspiration, living by inspiration. And so that goes beyond a belief, that goes into more of a flow of why you're really here, and letting go of all that stuff that's being put upon us. And my other belief is, well, I'm just determined that I can create a life that I want, that people can create a life that they want, that I believe everyone can be free, irrespective of their difficulties and challenges. And I have seen it time and time again.
That's amazing. And if you were able to go back in time to that young girl that you were, that naughty young girl, who we know wasn't really naughty, but if you could go back in time, what advice would you give her if you could sit with her for a few minutes?
Just be yourself. Never dim your light. Always speak up. Never let anyone say you're not worth it. You're not good enough. Just know that you are good enough exactly as you are.
Mm. And I think we do tend to go through life dimming our light, don't we? We find so many reasons to mold ourselves into something else, thinking that we're doing it to make other people happy. And that can actually be quite a mistake. It's not that you don't want to make other people happy, but changing yourself and dimming your light in the process is not the way to go and to do it right, is it?
Absolutely not. And when you do, that's when the problems arise. And it's not, our brains are predisposed to being in a group or a tribe, but it's not really relevant anymore. When we are able to be ourselves, that's when the magic happens. That's when the right people come into your life, the opportunities come into your life. That's when people respect who you are. That is when you become powerful and are limitless. Totally unlimited. It's just fabulous.
That. Love that so much. And how has all of that changed your life now? If you come forward to today, I mean, that's a huge journey of growth from childhood with dyslexia and getting in trouble at school and going back to school after so many work adventures as well. And then this terrible thing happens when you're on holiday and it looks like your life is just about to be snuffed out. And you come back from that, but it's a long journey. And this is a huge amount of life in a life. So bring us forward to today. How has all of that shaped you today, and what you're doing and how you do it and why, and your own inner life as well as what others see in you and how you work?
I think, you know, my life now is all about connection, connecting to people on all different levels, connecting people to themselves, and me personally connecting to everything in the work that I do and who I am.
Mm-hmm.
From the journey that I lead, it's not about, it used to always be about being a pop star. It was always about, you know, the big, it's not. Now, to me, it's all about being authentic to who I am and to helping people along the way, and just giving as much love as I possibly can and joy. And, you know, that's why the Wim Hof has been amazing for me, because it's such a laugh. And I love the transformation where people do it through joy, not just through pain. You know, there's all that pain body. We speak a lot about people with pain bodies, how they have these experiences similar to mine. But there's also a path of joy. And now my whole purpose and where I'm at the moment is inspiring through joy and giving people the wisdom to know that they can be free as well.
That's incredible. And what a purpose that is, because so many people feel they will never be free of, whether it's the self-doubt, the lack of confidence, whether it's the relationship that's not working, the job they're not happy in, the physical elements of their body. So many people feel that they will never be free and they're stuck like that. But you work with people to help them achieve what they would never have believed they could achieve.
Yeah, and that is pretty much the best job in the world, isn't it? If you can help someone help themselves, help them on their journey to become who they're destined to be. My God, that is amazing. So, and so many opportunities come into your life when you are true to yourself. And so many have come into my life, have fallen, people have come out of nowhere, or opportunities I haven't advertised. I'm useless at social media. But still, people still keep on coming, opportunities keep on coming, things keep on opening up. And that really fascinates me. You know, that whole law of attraction, that whole just living authentically is a complete game changer for sure.
It really is. And I find that the law of attraction is something that comes up again and again, even on the amazing interviews with the incredible people on the podcast here. So often people are talking about the law of attraction. And I often say that people misunderstand it because they think it's just enough to think it, but it involves a lot of doing as well. What's your experience with the law of attraction?
Well, I think it has to be, for me, if you're doing manifesting or law of attraction, you have to do it for the benefit of others as well. It's not just about you. It's like, so if you're confident and happy, how will that change other people's lives? Will they be happier around you? Will your colleagues be happier around you? You know, if you're confident, that allows other people to be confident. If you own your power, they can own their power. It's a complete game changer, I think, for me, definitely.
So it can touch so many more lives. It's not just going to benefit you. When you use the law of attraction and bring things to you, it's actually going to help so many others as well to find their path or their happiness or their thing.
Yeah, I mean, some people have blocks, or a lot of people have blocks. And with the Rapid Transformational Therapy, what's great about that is unlocking those blocks so we can clear the pathway so they can get what they want in their lives. But it's also working out, why do you want what you want? So you may want something, but it's actually not in alignment with who you actually are. So we kind of unwrap that as well. So when you're in that clear state, you can bring about what you really dream. And the universe has a very amusing way of bringing things through for you in a different way to what you'd anticipated. So again, be open to the opportunities, be excited to the opportunities, cultivate the feelings that you want to feel, as if you already have whatever it is in your life. You have it, you're living it already. So it's always, excuse me for my dog, it always is the I am, I've got it now. Feeling it, cultivating, living from a place of joy is what will change the dynamics in your life, definitely.
That's amazing. And Kat, tell us a little, if you would, about Wim Hof. Now, people may have heard of Wim Hof. Some people will know all about Wim Hof. A lot of people aren't going to know what that's about. So share that with us, please, because it's so interesting.
Yeah, well, I absolutely hated the cold. And my boyfriend at the time said, Kat, you tell everybody to face their fears. Well, I think you need to face yours. And this is like something that I had left that I really needed to do. So I did it, and I hated it initially. And then, but then I began to realize the power. So the Wim Hof consists of three pillars. It's breath work, mindset, and the cold exposure. The cold exposure is known probably most of all, and that enables you to basically support your immune system. The breath work does that as well, but it's also getting to that bliss state I talked about when I was in hospital, and that out-of-body experience. Well, when I do the breath work, it is the quickest access to that place that I felt this out-of-body experience, this openness, this freedom. So the Wim Hof, yes, consists of three pillars: commitment, cold exposure, and the breath work. And it's all about facing your fear again, learning to tune into your body, letting your body do what it's designed to do, and changing our relationship to stress and to fear. When you do the Wim Hof method, you learn to be relaxed when you do the breathing. The breathing stimulates an adrenaline response, but when you're relaxed, it actually benefits your immune system. Equally with the ice bath, people are quite often very nervous about it, but using breath work and getting into the ice, relaxing and allowing your body to do what it's designed to do, it will naturally heat you up and you will get warm much, much more quickly. Again, it's a big stressor to the body, but when you learn to be relaxed within that stress, it changes the way that you do daily life. It changes your resilience. You become much more resilient in stressful situations. You're able to deal with overwhelm so much better, but you also find this amazing single point of focus. And that is what's so exciting. You find that Zen space where there's just space and quietness and the ability to be able to teach your mind how to deal with your body, how to empower your body, how to heal your body. And one of the reasons I love it so much is, people quite often arrive at the Wim Hof event looking a little bit nervous and like, oh, the ice bath. But by the end, they are just, everyone's laughing, there's great camaraderie, everyone supports each other, and it's just a really joyful experience. And I've seen so many people overcome their fears. It's almost like as you approach the ice, you approach whatever trauma, whatever fear, whatever's held you back in your life. And as you use the breath in the right way, you learn that you can overcome it, and you can overcome it really super quickly. And then the changes, the shifts are almost immediate. And it's something I experienced. And I was like, well, if I can do this, that means I can do that and that and that. So I love it. I'm passionate about the Wim Hof for different reasons to the RTT, but together they work really, really powerfully. So,
and you run workshops, Wim Hof workshops, don't you?
Yeah, so I do online courses, also do live events. I do the fundamentals, which is kind of your starter pack, onto the advanced weekends to week. I also do private classes, one-to-one, or corporates for firms, or parties. Quite often I do parties as well. some people, like I did an event at the Landmark Hotel in London, and they just wanted the breath work and the meditation. So there's different elements. It doesn't have to all be about the ice bath.
Mhm.
And I never force people to get into the ice bath, but as yet, no one has not been in. So when you're there, and the spirit and the joy, and you're only in there for 2-3 minutes maximum. There's no harm that's going to happen to you. It's just when you learn to control your body and understand your body, it just then folds out into everyday life in dealing with all stresses and strains, and it boosts your immune system. So it makes us way more resilient. And we've got 125 kilometers of veins and capillaries and arteries in our body, which have become very unfit due to us living in 21 degrees the whole time. So it exercises, by doing the cold exposure, it exercises our cardiovascular system, leading to way more resilience and less anxiety as well, because it takes pressure off the heart. So all in all, it's really beneficial, especially this coming winter, when we're all going to be sadly very challenged with the energy crisis that's happening right now. We need to get our cardiovascular systems healthy we can deal with it better.
It sounds like such a personal breakthrough that people can go through in realizing how powerful they are, how they can do instead of can't do, how they can cope instead of can't cope. It really does sound very liberating and empowering for people to go through this process.
It definitely is. And I would recommend it. If you just want to test yourself a little bit, what can I do? What if I just gave it a go? What would happen? I promise you, the people that are brave enough to say, okay, I'm going to give it a go, they then can't let go of it, because it's like, oh my God, this is just the best tool to be discovered. Empowering. Yeah, and a wonderful community too. There's, it's going from strength to strength. I was so lucky to be taught by Wim Hof himself, which is lucky and unlucky, because he pushes you beyond your comfort zone and some more, and a little bit more. But we need that in life. We need to always go just a little bit beyond our comfort zone, not a lot, but just a little bit, and create that really beautiful hormesis that allows for strength and growth. And that's so important. Everything that we do, and Tracy, I know you're the same, it's all about growth. And we're not going to grow, we're not going to develop if we don't give ourselves some challenges. And that's one of the reasons I got better. I kept on challenging myself, and it went wrong a lot of the time, but eventually I began to challenge myself in the right way, and that is when I eventually got it.
A little snafu with the signal there.
Started to rain.
Yes, that is so amazing. And I think you're so right that we do get too comfortable in this current day life that we have. We're far too comfortable, and we don't challenge ourselves. We let ourselves off the hook too easily instead of being brave. And you, my dear, are incredibly brave, and this has been inspirational. Kat, thank you for sharing so many golden nuggets. And if I can just challenge you to share one more golden nugget, if you were to share with the listeners one approach, any kind of an approach, for times when they are feeling high stress or that they can't, just something quick and easy, what would you suggest to them to do?
Breath work. Breath work is your key. A lot of people can't do meditation because they think they need to think about nothing, and that's not the key of meditation. But breath work is your access into meditation. So you can do what's called the box technique, which is breathing in for 4, holding for 4, out for 4, holding for 4, and that's a wonderful balancer. The other one that's really good is the Dr. Will 4-7-8 breath, which is breathing in through the nose for 4, holding for 7, and as you breathe out, you get this feeling by putting your tongue onto the roof of your mouth just long, consistent out breath, just for that 8. And then just do that about 8 times. And that is the most incredible reset when you're in overwhelm.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know it's going to help a lot of people, just that golden nugget on its own. Kat, again, thank you so, so much. I've really enjoyed our chat today. You're an incredible inspiration, and big things are yet to come, even bigger and more things. So the best of luck with everything. And we will see you back here again soon, I'm sure. But thank you very much from us all. And thank you to everybody for joining in to hear this incredible life journey of Cat Paterson, who has so kindly shared the ups, the downs, the ins and the outs, and the techniques and the tips that have created a truly amazing and very fulfilling and purposeful life. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kat. And we'll see you again soon for more Limitless Potential.
Thank you so much. Bye, Tracy.
Bye.